Um, it's a man. In other words, to better understand it and acquaint with it a little bit more, it's a drag queen. Stunning beauty, feminine features, bright red lips, voluminous hair are just a few words to describe it. So drag is often defined as entertainment art. There's drag queens performing drag shows, and it happens to be now the core entertainment of the gay community. It's a big industry now, it's in its flourishment. So the drag endeavors are a true revelation of artistry. In order for us to be a little bit more comfortable with this, let's just surpass barriers of judgment and really get into this, because by being informed with it, we can probably understand how it can be an art form. So as ambassador of the drag culture in the city of Tallahassee, I actually study my own practices, using myself as my artistic medium, and drag would be pretty much my subject matter. In other words, who you guys are looking at right now, it's Tallahassee's favorite showgirl. Funny to say, but she is. So the historical background, as any other form, it's pretty interesting, and it's gone through quite a journey. It's now culture, there's people about drag, there's things about drag. Never even thought it would ever reach this place. Today you guys are actually going to learn how this art form involves a process of transformation involving makeup and fashions, and the last stage is going to be showmanship. How it all comes together for what the audience actually gets out there to witness. So first, let's go over the historical background. It's really important to know where it's coming from before what it is today. So it first starts in the theater scenario, and actually author Jenny Klein has an article she published called What a Drag, where she explains the transcendence of drag, where it started, where it is now, and where it's going to. So in some ancient cultures, as the Greeks, women were actually considered dangerous, so only men were allowed to act. And you have these men actually playing both roles, the male and the female. Now, it didn't matter if these men were homosexuals or not that it would be publicly recognized, because these shows were actually being staged for just any type of audience, or more specifically, a heterosexual audience, so it didn't matter what they were. So from here, drag takes a shift, and it becomes more serious and serious. The men, and this traces back to Shakespearean times, where the men are now appearing to be more youthful and attractive and actually quite androgynous. So now there is a sort of necessity to really inform that female figure, still not women, which is pretty funny to me, but now I have something to do because of it. So a little bit after World War II, with the rise of the media, drag actually undergoes, and it's actually victimized by the media, but it goes through a phase of great exposure. And people actually get to really see what it is, that there are people out there dressing up as men, doing things as women. So now it sort of has its own set identity. Like I said again, more people are exposed to this stunningly beautiful men, lip syncing, dancing around in dresses. So here, these men actually start adopting new trends, more feminine trends. They start plucking their eyebrows, shaving their legs, and actually a vast amount of them would take hormones to develop breasts. Pretty intense. So secondly, there are a variety of shows out there. It's pretty hard to define them. There's even female to male impersonations. There's comedy drag, which that happens still in the theater scene. But my focus is men dressing up as women in the nightlife scenario, dancing and mocking the female gender. So the transformation, it's actually the most beautiful thing how I can go from this to that. It's very captivating in my opinion. And not everybody gets to see this, but I've defined this as transformation, where it happens in front of the mirror, you stand in front of that mirror, you can become anything you want to be. I actually once became a geisha. Been astronauts, I've been anything you want to be. So what's quite the goal of this is creating the illusion of woman, like I said before. Now, some are more successful than others. Not everybody, looks that good out there. There's some train wrecks out there. But hey, it's still an art form, and I have respect for everybody who does it. There really aren't any rules. We can do whatever in order to get to where we want to get, which ultimately the goal is to entertain an audience. Now, makeup. Here's where it gets really artistic. It's a form of painting. We're actually dealing with brushes, we have our canvases, which are going to be our faces. So men, we tend to have stronger facial features as opposed to women who are really subtle. So our goal is to take our faces, which are again our canvases, tweak it and achieve that subtleness. So what we do is we actually, with the makeup, we contour, or just another fancy word for shading. We'll make our cheeks more round, our nose look a little thinner, alter up our lip shape to look a little prettier. So now fashion would be a form of actual self-sculpture. We're taking things apart, putting things together, really putting that whole character into where we want to put it. So it's the exterior, it's the visuals, it's what you guys are going to first look at. If it's going to work, it's going to work right away. So a look that's suitable for that performance is key. Now there's actually some pretty crazy practices out there where we can, we actually take our bodies and pat our hips and our butt to look really curvy and actually look like women. So thirdly, we have showmanship. It's what the audience is there to see. It's what you guys are there for. So after hours put into this process of transforming, the artwork is ready to be shown. We're ready to perform. Typically happens on a stage, pretty dark place, but bright when those lights are on. I've actually experimented by taking the drag into a gallery setting, and it's a piece I did last year called Only a Few Minutes, where we actually performed the transformation process. It was 3 drag queens were getting in and out of drag with our iPods plugged in. This happened at the BFA warehouse in Railroad Square, so the gallery visitor got to see us changing in and out of costumes. So just to conclude really briefly, there really aren't any boundaries to drag. It's really up to us to define what it is. I'm a solely believer that it's an art form. And then again, as an artist inspired by beauty, as my fellow drag queens, drag is my outlet to my artistic expressions, where I really get to showcase my talents. So just to add up a little bit more, there's a philosopher, I call her, she's a drag fan. Her name is Judith Butler. She's actually taking our practices and turning them into really fancy text. And she quotes, "I would suggest as well that drag fully subverts the distinction between inner and outer psychic space, and effectively mocks both the expressive model of gender and the notion of a true gender identity." So I would just like to encourage you guys to really get this information, get out there, see a drag show. It's pretty fun stuff. So we know it's an art form because we know there are processes that are really arduous. There's makeup, there's fashion, there's showmanship. It's entertainment, it's an identity, it's a performance, but most importantly, it's art. So I guess if I could just show a clip really quickly. And this is, there you go, a piece I did last fall at the FSU drag show. Sorry, guys. Fast forwarding this. That's me in the middle with the blonde hair. Is there volume in this?
Yeah. The knob on the box.
This box?
Mm-hmm.
So we have dancers. That's all.